Hi guys, today I'll be painting a Blood Angel Space Marine. I started off with a base coat of Chaos Black and then through an airbrush, but you can use a brush for this as well. I applied a coat of German Red Brown. The German Red Brown is just a base color to make the red look better. I made a mixture of 1-1 Gory Red and Bloody Red and applied this over the entire model. Again, I did this through an airbrush, but you can use a brush if you prefer that or don't own an airbrush. Once this is dry, I'm going to shade the entire model with Carroburg Crimson. You can apply a fairly thick coat. This is just to strengthen the shading later on in the model. Once dry, I make the same mixture as before, again 1 part Gory Red, 1 part Bloody Red, and this time I'm gonna paint in the red parts of the armor, leaving the shade visible. You might have to put this on in a couple of layers to get it a nice coverage on the model. Also, I drag the paint outwards to create a little bit of a transition in the red color. Once this is dry with pure Bloody Red, I'm gonna paint in the first edge highlight. I try and get nearly all edges. I only don't do the most dark edges. With black, I block in all black parts. Especially on a weapon, you don't need to be that neat. We're going to paint over with metal anyway later on. Using black metal, now I'm going to block in all the metallic parts on the model. The next stage is to wash all the metallic parts with Nuln Oil. This will give a nice dark look to the metallics. Using Runelord Brass, I now blocked in all the golden or copper parts. Using Agrax Earthshade, I wash all of them parts. Once again, I do this to achieve a shade for later on, and I'm a bit careful with this because I don't want to spill it all over the red armor. Because I wasn't really happy with the edge highlights, how it looked, I decided to make another mixture. 6 parts Bloody Red and 1 part Dead White to strengthen the highlight on the most sharp edges and ridges. You don't want to make this too pink because you might end up having to glaze the entire model, which will cause a lot of work. So if you feel the color is a bit too pink, add a bit more red to the mixture. With a 1-1 mix of Retributor armor and the Runelord Brass, I then highlighted the golden parts. This is then followed by a final edge highlight of pure Retributor Gold. Retributor armor. With earth, I'll now paint in the parchment part of the purity seal. This is followed by a wash of Agrax Earthshade. With German Grey, I'm now going to apply a first highlight to the black parts. Try to be neat on this one, but if it's a bit thick, it's not that big of a deal. Especially on a knee pad, I deliberately made the line a bit thicker. With gunmetal, I apply a highlight to all the metallic parts. On the larger parts you can dry brush this on a bit. Using US Grey, I'm going to apply another highlight to the black areas on the model, leaving the previous highlight visible. I also only applied it to the upper parts of the model. On these larger areas you can quite easily use the side of your brush, which makes edge highlighting a bit easier. Then I took the earth again and applied a first highlight to the parchment, leaving a lot of the Agrax Earthshade and the previous layer of earth visible. With Sig Green, I painted the lens and the eyes, and I made a first beginning of the OSL that I wanted to have shining off the lens on the weapon. This is a really thin coat for the OSL, so that underlying color is still coming through a bit. With a mixture of 1 part Sig Green and 4 parts Moon Yellow, I applied a highlight to both the eyes and the OSL. With the OSL, I made sure I kept the highlight to the side where the lens is positioned. By adding 2 parts dead white, I repeat this process on the OSL, and I paint in a small line into the eyes. Using a mixture of 1 part earth and 1 part bone white, I now highlight the parchment again. I make sure I leave parts of the previous layers visible and gradually build up the color. This is then followed with the same process with pure bone white. You can easily achieve this by drawing small thin lines on the model. After this, bone white and dead white in a 1-to-1 mixture have been mixed to basically go over it again and keep showing some of the bone white from the previous layer. Using pure dark flashstone, I now paint in the seal part on a purity seal. This is just a rough base color. I'm making a 1-1 mixture of dark fleshstone and warlord purple. I now start highlighting the seal. I just take the complete outer side roughly, and then I'll paint in a blob in the inside, in the deeper part as well. By adding one part dead white, I'm now going to carefully highlight the outer edge, and I'll paint a dot in the middle as well. And I repeat the one part dead white, adding to the mixture, and do the process again. Just smaller parts, painting smaller parts, so that there is going to appear a light transition. I finish this off with a wash of Carroburg Crimson on the seal. Once dry, I did the basing and I applied transfers to the model, and then I applied matte varnish to the entire model through a spray can. After that I put a bit of gloss varnish in the eyes to make the eyes appear more shiny, and then this is the result. So I hope you like this video, guys, and please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.